Yeah, what I'll do is I'll do the opening remark, introduce Devang, introduce the other two, and then Devang will speak. Then I'll introduce Naina as a moderator. Then she'll take over.
Go ahead, Zai.
Gaibo. Good evening, everyone. This is our 10th Saturday session of the portal program that we have, discussing different aspects around president's election in support of Biden-Harris ticket. I'm very glad to have the presence of our chair of the Maryland chapter of Maryland API, Devang, who has been very instrumental in helping us and getting me on board here. I have learned a lot from him, and he has also constantly coming to almost every session of ours. Encourages us very good. Devang, I would like to speak, and then after that one I will introduce Neha and Praveen, and then introduce Naina, and then Naina will take over. Please, Devang.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karki. And I just want to let you know, I'm not sure if you all are aware of how special it is of what you're doing and how instrumental all of you are going to be for Biden winning in less than 2 weeks, okay? Because this is really an instrumental election, and each and every one of you are so critical for victory. And what is this election about? Why is it so important? We've talked about this many times. And it's really about what Joe Biden calls the soul of this country. And I think we've all experienced some issues potentially in the last 4 years. And I myself, a little bit after Biden won, was walking outside of, Trump won, was walking outside of Panera, walking through a vestibule, and somebody opened the door for me. And I was on the phone, and then he opened up a second door for me, and I'm still on my phone talking to a client. And then he shouted at me and he said, "In this country, we say thank you." And I forgot to say thank you, but the implication of his statement was that I'm not from this country. And that's what's basically happened in the last 4 years. We get the feeling that, this country is supposed to be for whites only and not for the immigrant community or those that are descendants of immigrants with brown skin. And another 4 years of this will become really difficult and for our children and grandchildren in this country, because what's going to happen is we've seen it with the Supreme Court, and we're going to see it with the other judicial nominations at the district court level and the circuit court level. The judges are all going to be stacked against us. And Donald Trump has already put in about 20% of the federal judiciary. Give them another 4 years, and we're probably going to get above 50%. And that's going to have generational impact, 1 or 2 generations, because these judges are here for life. But at this point, it's not about what we're talking about. It's not about education as much. It's really about getting out the vote. And I'm so honored to work with Neha, who's the director of South Asians for Biden, and Praveen, who serves as an advisor and did such a wonderful job on the program yesterday, because what they're doing is really helping getting out the vote. At this point, it's all about how many people come out in these swing states, such as Pennsylvania, where there was a 40,000 margin of victory in 2016, and in North Carolina, where the margin of victory, again, is less than the Asian American population. Michigan, 10,000 people. You in the Nepalese community can be the margin of victory in some of these states like Pennsylvania and Michigan, where there was a small margin of victory. But it's not going to happen just by being on the Zoom link. You're going to have to make phone calls to 10 of your friends at least, and get into these phone banks that are being done by South Asians for Biden in the coming 10 days, and get these people that are kind of in the middle that say, you know what, if it's a rainy day, I might not go out and vote. If the weather is not good, I may not go out and vote. If I'm not feeling well, I may not go out and vote. These people need a little bit of a shove and push, and tell each of them to give 10 of their friends a shove and a push. That is the only way we're going to win this election. Don't let the polls fool you. We were ahead in 2016. Many people lie to the polls. There's a margin of error. But what Trump is counting on is our communities not going out to vote. Let's prove Trump wrong. Let's evict Trump from the White House. And again, once again, thank you, Dr. Karki, and the whole Nepalese community for everything you've done for this election cycle. And it's just been an honor to work under Neha and with Praveen for South Asians for Biden. So thank you.
Thank you, Devang. You have been very supportive of us. It was actually to Devang who pushed me to join the South Asian for Biden. Here, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Neha, who is the national coordinator for South Asian for Biden. I have attended only 3 meetings with her because I was one of the last one to join. But Neha is such a personality. I was surprised. She's very disciplined, and then she really covers so much in such a short time, and she makes everything look so easy. It looks like if another person should have taken 2 hours to cover all those things, but she does in an hour, and she does in such a nice, simple fashion, and she has such a good command of vocabulary of all the positive words. I have never seen anyone speak so many positive words. Neha, I'm really very, very impressed by your masterful command of the language and masterful command of the positive feelings. Neha, and thank you very much for attending today. We have learned a lot from you, and I think we learned from a lot from you. I think now I'll go to Praveen. Praveen has been also very helpful to me. Again, because we are one of the latest one to go, we haven't worked with him from a long time, but I've worked with him. What I've detected in him is that he's someone who is very good at delegating, and then let that person who takes authority handle by himself. I saw that one in my only 2 contacts. I saw him. I said, this man is going to be a very good manager. He'll be wonderful administrator someday. I won't be surprised if he gets one of the top agency of that one, because I could see that one. The same way when I taught him Neha, I said, she will be the one wonderful and the chief operation officer of something like that in the White House. I think she had that, Neha had that quality. I noticed that one. So it's really very good for us to have people like you to come and talk to us. I'm looking forward to learning a lot from you. Now I'll introduce our moderator, Naina. I saw Naina speak on the last one. I think you were there also when we had women and on the youth program. She was such a dynamic. I was so much impressed. She makes articulation of the views so strongly, so nicely, so politely. I said, this is a star phenomena. We must take this lady and nurture her so that she can go her way. Not only she can go on her way, we have to help her accelerate her speed so that she can be a rising star in a very, very short time. I'm very impressed by you, and I have a lot of expectation of you, Naina. Now it's your floor. You are the moderator. Please take it over for now. Thank you, Naina.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karki. Truly an honor to be here. Darsan and namaste, everyone, and welcome to what I hope to be an informative conversation that we are continuing called Perspectives in U.S. Presidential Elections. Like Dr. Karki said, my name is Naina Rana. I'm currently the Executive Vice Chair for Nepalese Americans for Biden at the Connecticut chapter. Just a brief background about myself. I received a master's in clinical social work from Fordham University, and I've dedicated the past 5 years confronting outdated cultural norms and beliefs within the Nepalese community and the overall South Asian community. I've done multiple workshops and seminars for my local community here in Connecticut, including a seminar on sexual violence. And also we did a themed talk where women and men came together to talk about sort of the outdated cultural beliefs that we hold in Nepal and how we should tackle them. I'm also a lifelong wheelchair user, so I have expertise in speaking about the American healthcare system. I've been an advocate for people who have had difficulties receiving healthcare and any resources. So I'm truly honored to be here. Before we get started, I do want to go over some house rules. Because I am a counselor, I have had experience doing sort of these group conversations. So I'm going to treat this as a counseling session. obviously we all need a little bit of counseling from the trauma we've been through in the past 4 years under this Trump administration. So I want to take this time to say, let's respect each other's beliefs. Although we are all for Biden and Harris, I'm sure we all have different reasons why. So I want us to respect each other. And if someone is talking, let's raise our hand and I will definitely come to you. And I also ask that everyone speaking English towards at least the beginning of this conversation. And if you want to interject in Nepali, I don't mind translating it just in case someone doesn't understand. So I'd like to start this conversation off with Nehaji. Like Dr. Karki said, you've been very instrumental with South Asians for Biden, which is really wonderful. I think we need someone who represents the entire community to show the Democratic Party that we are also people who vote in this country and we have things that are important to us as well. So my question to you is, could you please talk about your journey first and what you think is important in this election that we as South Asians, Nepalese, Indian Americans, Bhutanese, how we should contribute and what are ways that we can make a difference in the last 10 days and going forward as well too.
No, that's actually a great question. And I just want to say thank you so much to Dr. Karki really for having us here and truly for agreeing really to be a part of this, Nepalis and Bhutanis for Biden National Council. We are just so grateful to have Dr. Karki's leadership. You may have been the last council to have been launched under SAB, but you already came with an infrastructure. You had everything in place. You had the people. You had the outreach. So it was just a matter of joining hands. And it's been absolutely wonderful, Dr. Karki. For you saying that this is your 10th event, I know it's not easy, but it's really creditable to have the Nepali and Bhutani community come together to do this. So just to speak to your question, Anana. So really quick about myself. This is actually my third presidential election doing this. I was also the national co-chair for South Asians for Hillary back in 2016. And let me just tell you, I was actually at Javits Center in New York City, 5 o'clock over there in the evening. I mean, what a festive party mood it was. I mean, the polls told us this was going to happen. I just, gotten married in South Africa, come back. I told everybody there, do not worry, because they were more worried than I was. My family back in India, do not worry, we got this. And as 9 o'clock rolled around and as the time, went on and we started to see some results, the mood just changed, as you can imagine. That party mode just turned into a funeral mode. And finally at 2 a.m. we actually left. And I walked out of Javits Center, and this is New York City. It's a fairly liberal area. And there was a parade of cars that just went by chanting, lock her up, lock her up. And I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, please don't tell me this is what the next 4 years are going to be like. And that's exactly what it's been, and then some. And so, since that time, I've now actually had a daughter. And so this was what started as, wow, the first female president, advocating here in the US. It's going to make history. It's become more than just for myself and other women. It's now for my daughter. And I know I can speak for a lot of us that it's about our children and our grandchildren. And so therefore, I started South Asians for Biden back in December because I believe that VP Biden, at a basic level, just restore dignity and honor to the White House. But beyond that, right, his policies that were suitable for the country, certainly for our community. I know that he cares very deeply about our community. Our community is going to have a seat at the table. And what an honor to have, somebody from our community, be on the ticket as well. But to your question about what we can do in the last 10 days, every single person here and watching has the ability to do something. If you can pick up the phone, South Asians for Biden has 2 phone banks tomorrow, another 5 coming up next weekend. Make those phone calls. Because that personal connection, really, when somebody picks up the phone and hears that you're South Asian, goes so far. And why it is that you're supporting, the Biden-Harris ticket. If you're not able to do that, write postcards. That's a great family activity. And also to get the young ones involved and civically engaged. If you're not able to do that, you can drop off literature at someone's doorstep as to why the Biden-Harris ticket is, is really the way to go for our community and really at this point, our country and the world, if I might even just add that. And to Devang's point, if you can't do that, then call 10 of your friends and family. Make sure that if they are, in states that are voting early, like for instance, New York just started today, make sure that they do that, or at the very least, certainly vote by election day. And then they get 10 of their friends and family to make sure that whether they can provide childcare or whatever it is, so that they can get to the polls and they can vote. There's a lot of options. 10 days to really get into it and make sure that it happens. But each one of us, regardless of whether we are old or disabled or have children or not in a position to do some of the more traditional things, at the very least, one, you can vote and you can get your friends and family to vote. So thank you for that, Nan. I really appreciate that.
How long you've been doing this, and we need more representatives like you in the South Asian community. I think sometimes many of us feel like we're not contributing more, being active in politics, and I'm glad that we have representatives like you. So thank you so much. Praveenji, I'm sorry, I'm getting it wrong. Could you please also elaborate on how you became a part of the Biden campaign and what you hope to see for the South Asian community in the next 10 days and the future, really?
Thank you for that question, Naina, and thank you so much to Dr. Karki and Tarun and all of the great folks that comprise this council. We're at South Asians for Biden extremely proud of the Nepali Bhutani Council. I mean, this is as we've said, this is your 10th event. There's an incredible level of engagement that's going on here, and it makes me proud. I am an immigrant myself from the community. To see our community so engaged and being informed and having community leaders like yourself spread the message about why this election is so important. So to answer your first question a little bit about my journey, I am an immigrant myself. I came to this country when I was very young, but I think that for a lot of us, our stories are very similar, whether it's ourselves or our parents or our grandparents. At some point, going back to the history of America, we've all come here as immigrants and we've crafted this story because there's a promise here that, you can work hard, play by the rules, and the sky's the limit in terms of what you can achieve. And I think that message has been a little muddled over the last couple of years because the country has seemed so unwelcoming due to the policies in place by this administration. So really our focus, getting involved in politics is not kind of a hobby at this point. It's almost an imperative if you really think about it in terms of advocating for not just ourselves, but our family members, our communities, and making sure that we have a seat at the table, right? Our chairman, Tom Perez of the DNC, is fond of saying, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu, and that's quite frankly very true. And so, forming this council, having these conversations, as Neha so eloquently put it, even amongst your close circle of family members and friends about why this election is important is crucial. And, there's so many policies that we think may not directly affect us, but they do. I mean, on this ballot, healthcare is on the ballot, education is on the ballot, a fair judiciary is on the ballot. So all of these things may not directly seem to impact us day to day, but they definitely affect our lives. And that's why we need to get out there and make sure that we cast those ballots, make sure that our voices are heard. And that's really important, and really engaging, whether via the council, via speaking to people, phone banking. There's a lot of, depending on which state you live in, there's a lot of literature drops, social distancing or canvassing routes. Be as safe as you can, but there's certainly ways to engage the community and turn out the vote.
I really, again, want to thank both of you. I'm very new to being more involved in the Nepali community myself. So both of you are inspiring me to sort of speak up and be better within my own community. So thank you so much. I want to ask this question to everyone, and anyone can answer this question if you can please raise your hand. So one of the things that I was thinking about in the past couple of weeks is what are really the concerns of the Nepali community, the Bhutani community, the Indian community, our entire South Asian community that we believe is not being met by our current politicians. And this is a very broad question, but it could be anything. If you believe that it's economic, inequality, or is it that the working class South Asian community is not being heard? It could be anything at all. Does anyone want to answer that question?
Go ahead, Suresh.
Oh, yes, Dr. Gancham, I think, right? Yes, please, sir, go ahead.
Okay, all right.
It's on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go on, please.
Yeah. Sorry, Naina, when you were speaking, your volume was paused, so I wasn't able to hear completely your sentence, but now it's okay. Myself, Ghanshyam Bhatta, I'm from Nepal originally. I have been living in Tennessee for the past 12 years, and I've been living here for the past 20 years. So I grew up in Nepal. By the time I was graduating in Nepal, there was a democratic movement going on in Nepal. So therefore, we used to watch these debates, American debates. That was really inspiring to us. I have been watching these debates since the time of Clinton, 92, then 96. For 2000, from 2000 until this, I was physically here. So I was always watching these things. I was watching issues, whatever is going on politically. It was a really nice experience to see these debates. But this year, I found that there is a growing violence in the US. There is a more hate crime going on in the US. There is more division in the society. And we are talking about non-issues now. This president has brought this completely non-issues, like people are just talking about, are you going to vote for Trump or are you going to not vote for Trump? That has been the issue now. There's no issue, like we don't talk about Hong Kong, what's happening in Hong Kong, what's happening in Russia, Middle East, Syria, Palestine, Israel, Korea, China-US relationship. They are just silent. People are completely silent, and whole of the population of the US has been diverted into completely non-issues like racial issues, and maybe they are going towards more right than the center. So watching these issues, I have been, I thought that, we, our society, we have a great Buddhist community, we have a great Nepalese community, Indian community. We have to get together, we have to vote. And if we vote, our vote can make a difference. And this is not only for us, for our children, for our future generation. And this is for everybody. Final point I would like to make is this country is not the same as, for example, Zimbabwe, or maybe China, even France, Britain. There is some freedom we enjoy here. There is human rights here. There is open society here. So under the leadership of this president, I suspect that we are losing this freedom that we have been enjoying in this country. Because of that, we get united. We have to speak up. We have to donate, do something for our children, for our future career. So that's the reason why I have been involved in this election a little bit more than I used to get involved in the previous elections. And thank you for giving me a chance to speak few words. Back to you, Naina.
We're speaking, I noticed you were frustrated. And I think a lot of us collectively, we're angry, we're frustrated, we're annoyed, we feel like our voices aren't being heard. And I think that's even motivating us to be more active in politics. Everyone in the Nepali community is being more active. They're listening, they're saying, okay, I've been in this country for 10, 20 years. I have a right to say something. I have something to do. It's my duty to do something. And I think, especially with this president, like you just mentioned, he's talking about a lot of non-issues, right? Race, that shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't matter. We're all American when we come to this country. Part of being from somewhere else means that you're American, right? So all of those things are very valid points. One of the questions that I think we want to make sure that's answered is, COVID's happening right now, COVID-19, the pandemic, and it's affecting many South Asian communities in different ways, right? It could be financial instability, it could be health, it could be, the fact that mental health, even that, that's another issue we don't really talk about in our communities. So my question to Bimalji, if he's on the line, is how is COVID-19 pandemic affecting you, your family, and your community, or where you live? Bimalji, you on the
Yeah,
line?
thank you. Thank you, Nanaji, for well moderating. I really appreciate Dr. Karke, definitely Divang and Tarun, all the leaders, Nia, on your valuable presence. Being a social leader myself, representing various organizations in the state of Florida, in this Nepali situation, in Nasa region, I do feel I've been here for last 2 decades, and I've been involved in the day one in the democratic process of this nation. I was knocking door for John Kerry, then it was Obama, and then it was Hillary. I just wanted to have the perspective. The day Trump won the election, and I wrote a comment on my Facebook saying that congratulations, President elect. That decency has gone. That decency has gone from that day, as Nia was rightly pointed out. That decency has eroded. That has gone down the dungeon. And that is the reason. And we Nepali community, our Indian Southeast community, we are involved in this election process independently. We were involved personally. But now the challenge has come as a immigrants like us. Our identity is in the ballot. There are a lot of things in the ballot, and it's good. It's not only for this election. It will be our mission continues till our leaders engage in the civic engagement and represent our identity as we go forward. And it's great to have Kamala as our vice president. We would like to see that. Your question, previous question, we're so proud. Asian American has been in the second ticket of this great nation. Coming back to COVID-19, yes, the way this president handled, even he lies today, even he lies as he speaks. So apart from all these disorders and all these things that is going on, COVID has really touched the businesses, the households. It's a scary there. For your kind information, the marriages, the parties, all these things has been postponed or done by June. In this great nation where everything could have done if this president did act in a timely manner. As he didn't do that, yes, COVID-19 is one of the major agenda in this, and definitely in this 10 days, we need to knock the doors, we need to pick up the phone, and we need to persuade our family and friends, go and vote. And at this moment, I would like to take opportunity to salute all our volunteers. They don't get time to come and talk in the Zoom right now, making a phone call, organizing a rally there. They're the one to be saluted, and we'll keep this much in Nainaji. I thank you. I just had to add this a little broadly, but I'm amazed how our community is working, especially Nepali Bhutani community, Nepalese American community. For Biden, I represent Florida as a chair on this team, but I'd like to salute each one of you panelists here and our hundreds and thousands of volunteers who are working day and night to pursue the neighbors, to talk to their customers, to pursue them what the stake in this election. And there is no doubt we need to rest till President Biden-Harris gets elected this November 3rd. I thank you guys.
Points up that I want to highlight. One is that this is a different presidency, right? And I think the reason why many South Asians are coming out and making their voice heard is because Trump is a representation of values and beliefs that South Asians do not believe in, right? He's everything that we've taught our kids not to be. And so I think that picture, that person that he exhibits is something that is against everything that has to do with South Asian values. You know, we respect our elders. You know, we respect other people. I mean, we welcome people into our homes because we want to feed them. I mean, that's the type of community we are. And Trump is everything against that. You also mentioned COVID-19 and how it's affecting communities. Just to share a personal story, there is an uncle in my community who came home and didn't know how to pay his mortgage bill because he was out of work. I mean, these are real stories that are happening every day to South Asians. And we are American, and I think our voice needs to be heard. So thank you so much for bringing that up and being such a wonderful representative in Florida for the Nepalese community. It's truly commendable. One of the next questions I want to ask is, Biden-Harris is really reaching out to the South Asian community. In fact, reaching out to many different communities from all across this country. One of the things that I found interesting is that he chose Kamala Harris as our vice president. The interesting thing is, yes, she is from a very diverse background, but we also have South Asian leaders in the Republican Party as well. And I've always found it interesting that we have, you know, both South Asian leaders in, for example, Nikki Haley is in the Republican Party and Kamala Harris is in the Democratic Party. So why do you believe South Asians, at least some South Asians, relate more to the Republican Party, and then we have some that relate more, actually more to the Democratic Party? I know this might be a bit of a difficult question, but it was something that I was thinking about. Would anyone like to answer that? Sureshji?
Unmute.
तपाईँ साउन्ड आइरहेको छैन।
अनम्युट गर्नु पर्यो उहाँको।
सुरेशजी तपाईँलाई अनम्युट तपाईँको साउन्ड आयो, अब आयो।
Good.
Still can't hear you, Sureshji. We can get back to you if that's okay. Yeah, no problem. Does anyone else would like to answer that question? No. Oh, Bimalji, go ahead.
In my opinion, as I was sharing with a couple of my friends on the text, they were saying people, some of our South Asian people, as you said, they are Republican. But again, it's a choice. It's a choice. There might be a business person, or there might be a person of that category might be related to Republican. But when it comes to the core values, the way we are as South Asians that you said, I think when you close your eyes and think about Trump, his activities there, this is not what the country should be representing. The democratic values that India, being one of the greatest democratic nation in the world, where there are so many voters, they have been exercising their voting rights. Now we tilt towards Trump. Yes, even Republicans Republican the presidents, Republicans, the ex-Trump officers, the generals, they're coming and opposing. We are Republicans, but we're not voting Trumps. End of the story there. So I think for those Indian Americans that we talk, we need to say, hey, keep your Republican values there. But this time, you're going to cross your line and vote Democrat and elect Joe Biden. That should be our conversation with them. And we need to persuade them. That's it. Thank you.
Line. I mean, or sorry, going over the aisle, right, and politics. And Vice President Biden is very good at that, right? He's been known to be able to have consistent friendships, been able to speak to people across the aisle, to make deals. I mean, that's why he became a very effective vice president to President Obama. And that's why he'll be a very good president, because he's able to speak to people. One of the things I find interesting about Vice President Biden is he's able to speak to people on a personal level, right? He's able to understand people's stories, their struggles, especially grief, obviously, because he's gone through so much grief in his life. And one of the things I think we can definitely say about Vice President Biden is that he's empathetic. President Trump is not. If President Trump was empathetic, then he would have had a pandemic response plan, and he would be a little more understanding and know that science matters. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have heard the quote that recently he said that Biden will believe in science and have scientists be part of his task force. Like, that's a bad thing. But, you know, this is sort of the ideals, the values, the science, the facts that are being deteriorated in the past 4 years. One of the next questions I want to ask is, you know, we've had many political and cultural shifts happen in this country. One of the most important movements that's happened in this country is the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, it's a civil rights movement that is very important. You know, obviously on the news, sometimes it's shown in a bad way for some reason. But one of the things I think as South Asians we can understand is what is civil rights, right? We have gone through our own civil rights in both Nepal and India, and we've done this quite well. Of course, we've had our own issues, but one of the things I want to ask is how can we be an ally? What is a good way we can be an effective ally to our Black brothers and sisters? Would anyone like to answer this question? Sibimoji, do you still?
Yeah, just to address this, I'd like to be specific on this. It was a moment when you know, sometimes we in a household talk about these things, but it really touches the heart of our youths. The way our youth, young generation thinks about all these matters, is really touchy. So it was a moment I took a pride, you know, going in the rally in the Black Lives Matter in West Palm Beach with my daughter together. And that was the moment. I participated in each and every rallies back home in Nepal. And here we didn't have opportunity to participate. I felt so proud. It was raining. There were a couple of speeches made, and I did participate in a rally. And then we, the Nepalese community, if you may, or we recall, there were a lot of youths, activists involved and supporting the Black Lives Matters. And we rallied behind this, our leaders, the youth leaders. So it's a sensitive issue. And the way, when you go back to the history, yes, the Black issues, Black lives, the injustice being a color, even us, when we were pulled in the car, probably the officers, they think us as a Black. I'm telling you very honestly, versus the white. So criminal justice issues, all these things that incoming president, our elect is promising, I think that has to be really taken care. And we definitely need to rally behind this. And I'm so proud, youths all over the country are rallying behind this. And I think our community is behind this in 100% support. Thank you.
Nana, if I can just add to that. Yeah, so I will just say that, it's also important for us to recognize that our community has benefited from the civil rights movement, right? We stand on the shoulders of our African American brothers and sisters, and as a result, we have benefited. So this is not their problem. This is our problem. And we need to certainly have communications with folks in our family, our friend circle, who may have some, some racist tendencies, who may not even necessarily see this as their issue, because truly it is, our community, it's the minority community. And just as much as we have benefited, from the civil rights movement, this is now a time in our nation's history where we really need to stand shoulder to shoulder together as a community, as a minority community. But really, these conversations also start at the kitchen table. And these are not easy conversations, because our community, I can certainly speak for the Indian community, color is the big issue, where, it's like the fair and lovelies and those kinds of things. So these are not easy conversations to have, but these are certainly critical and important conversations to have. So allyship really, to me, also starts at home.
I would like to ask Sanjaya ji, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know you're a longtime social activist and you're very active in Nepali language school projects. So one of the questions I want to ask you is, how do we teach our children to be involved in American politics without losing their Nepali identity?
Hello.
अनम्युट गर्नु पर्यो
हजुर सुन्दै हुनुहुन्छ हजुर Hello everybody, my name is Sancha Rai. I have been in Pittsburgh for a little more than 10 years, and I'm from Bhutanese community. So our population in the US is not long, but in short time we have gone through all ups and downs. And as a refugee case manager, I serve international population, including people from Bhutan, Middle East, African countries, and Burma, and some from other countries also. So I have experience, and also my community people, they have experience, something at least within short time. So here, main challenge is that majority of our population, they are under learning curve about politics and, lifestyle or, living skill, life skill in US. But we distinctly see that, along with the political changes in the country, life got impacted. And in last 4 years, we have some, bad impact on our lives. So what we are thinking is to have a, good representative for our community as a whole. We are working hard. I served in as a commissioner for Asian American population for 2015 to 2017 in Pennsylvania. At that time, I got chance to communicate with other Asian population in Pennsylvania. So from that time, I learned that in US, there is, sort of discrimination, because I have some friends, they were born and brought up in US, and still they get a question sometime that, hey, your English is good. And they get really, annoyed, and they reply, yours is, good as well, So, and also when I got to my work first day in US, someone asked me before talking to that person, he asked me, where are you from? Why didn't he know that I was born and brought up in USA? So it's culturally rooted that, this thing. So along with the political changes, we can gradually improve on this part, I think. but we have to struggle this, challenge another, let's say, 50 years. But still, we have to, keep rolling. Just recently in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, on October 22nd, we did a meeting with Connor Lamb, Congressman, and Mike Dole, Congressman, Pamela Lobino, State Senator, Iovino, Pamela Iovino, State Senator, and we discussed how we can, take part in voting. And here we have a rumor that Pittsburgh, actually this city is not long been exposed to international population, Uh, in Pittsburgh, I say it's around only 20 to 25 years they are exposed to international population. So we are in struggling phase to adjust in this community. So we have some safety question also how we can fit in this community. And also we are thinking of having someone representative from this population down the road. So after this election, we can sit and talk more about it. And in general, um, our question was how Bhutanese population can go back to Bhutan to meet their relatives. They are separated for almost 3 decades. We want to go back and visit our relatives in Bhutan, but Bhutan government is not allowing us visa. So down the road after election, we can talk about it and take this voice to the state. I mean, Washington D.C. Okay, right now let me come back to the point. How we can teach our kids Nepali language in the USA. Not only kids from Bhutan, all Nepali diaspora, I say, because in US, Canada, and European countries, Nepali kids from Nepal, India, Bhutan, Burma, wherever, they are here, and they are, due to digital, world, due to technology, virtual world, kids are spending a lot of time on digital devices, and they are not getting much chance to learn Nepali even at home. Also, parents are always busy, or they don't have lesson plan to teach kids. Lot many things are there. So we have to focus on teaching Nepali language wherever we are in the world, because this is the backbone, to connect people, either for politics, either for business, or whatever you do in your career. We need to have that. If you forget your language, then you will forget your culture. A person without culture is somewhat like, you have already lost your identity. And also, yeah, I want to connect this point to the, racial discrimination in USA. Let's say, if you speak only, English language, and when you get some sort of frustration with your coworkers, or wherever in US, you like to go back and talk to your community people. By that time, if you have forgotten all your language and cultural thing, you won't get any friends to talk to. So at that time, our new coming generation, those who are kids right now, after 20-30 years, they will be the family runners. If they have forgotten everything, and they will be nowhere, there will be very, very less chances of growing better. So at this time, what we are doing is, we tried our best how to introduce this language, or put this language in school districts in Pennsylvania when I was serving in Asian Commission. We tried, but thing is that it's not easy to have your language recognition in a school district. You need to have at least 5 PhD people to review your course and approve the course. So that's almost impossible to do even for one city, because within one city maybe there are 10 12 school districts. So how we can do that all over USA? So I got a good answer that it is something, I don't say impossible, but it takes 100 years to get this language recognized in all school districts all over USA. And also this is not only the case of USA, all over US, Canada, and European countries, we are suffering this. So we are working on this part, as well as we are working on, though we don't have directly from our community anybody in political representation in Pennsylvania, we have some people from other states. And from here also, we are trying our best to learn, though I don't like to be a politician, but it's not that, I had learned in my grade 12 course in political science, anything personal is, political, because whatever we do in our family, our family gets impacted by the politics. So as needed, we have to work towards that. So we are raising awareness in our community, vote for Biden, but it's still some people I see, mostly young IT guys and some business guys. They need more education towards the core value of the Democrats Party, because of, I think, due to lack of that knowledge, maybe people are making wrong decision. That's why, as far as possible, we are working very hard towards this election campaign also in Pittsburgh. And just yesterday, we had a meeting among other communities in USA within Bhutanese. And at that time also, that though that was that meeting was for the different topic, but still we tried our best that this is also our very important part, and we need to take care of. So in this way, we are working hard from our label. And lastly, I want to say that this is election time. Not only in election time, let's stay connected hereafter, and discuss more about the core value of this political parties. Let people know core value of Democrat as well as this Republican, so that people can make good decision when time comes. And I see not only in Nepali community, in other communities also, in South Asian communities, we have not only South Asian communities, in other communities also, new immigrant, those who came USA in last 20, 30 years or last 10, 15 years, they have, a language issues. So because of that cultural and language issues, many people are not getting chance to learn the core value of the, political parties. So that's also the part we need to play role on. So that educates people well. So once people are well educated, they will make correct decision, and that helps for all of us. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. You covered a lot of information. First of all, it's very commendable that you are teaching the Nepali language to the community, local community. We don't have that in Connecticut. I wish we did, because as someone who's been said that I speak Nepali very well, I do not know how to read and write Nepali, and I wish I could.
Let me tell you, this is online virtual class. So anywhere, all over the US and Canada, students are taking part. You can share this information with anybody, over there, so that everybody can take part. I have capacity of 500 students. So far, we have around 100 students. So still there is, space for the, participants. I welcome everyone.
That's a really great work you're doing, sir. Thank you so much. Sureshji, I would really like to give you a chance to speak. I know you're very active in Iowa, I believe, and you've been engaging with the Nepali community. Could you please tell us the wonderful work that you are doing, sir?
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yes. First, I want to thank you. This is a brand we have finally with the South Asian for Biden's cup I purchased, and one of the reasons why we're here today. Thank you, Neha, for your excellent leadership. And also Dr. Karki and Tarunji and the whole team, because you guys are providing platforms so that we can engage people, organize people, and mobilize people. I think that's outstanding work. I want to congratulate everybody. I want to talk about 30 seconds about leadership, why I'm involved. Whenever I was growing up, my father was also in a public policy and politics. He always talked about Gandhi. He always talked about JFK. He always talked about Nelson Mandela. And he grew up in a village. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have running water. And of course, there was no internet. And even that time, he figured out these are outstanding leaders. Only medium we had was the radio. So I learned growing up about some of the qualities we look for in leaders. Leader always have to have a good intention for people. Leader always have to have, because of the good intention, then will come the good thoughts. If you have a good thoughts, then that will also bring good policies, which is the actions. Therefore, it will also have a good outcome for everybody. Believing in that, I got involved in politics. First one was in New York City when I was doing the door knocking for Hillary Clinton when she was running for Senate. Then also Al Gore, of course, I had to go to bed about 6 in the morning with the Al Gore outcome election. Then since moving to Iowa, I've been always involved about door knocking and all of that. But this election is particularly important to me. And what I have done with the SAF, South Asians for Biden, that we are able to mobilizing different group of people, especially Bhutanese, Nepalese and Indian. And what really touched me in the last 2 weeks, that we have identified 112 Bhutanese, Nepalese, Bhutanese community who never voted in their life. First time. These people are 75 years old. And I went and sit down with them and we educated how to vote for them because they were thinking they could not vote before November 3rd. In Iowa, we started voting October 5th. So within 2 hours, this lady and son went to voting poll. I actually met them in the voting poll, and they were so happy that they were able to vote. First time in their life. And other people who really needed Medicaid because they didn't have any other alternative healthcare. And this particular family had a suicidal issue in the family, no jobs. And I was called to translate Nepali in free, and I volunteer all of that. But the point is that we talked about also mental health and healthcare overall. Because of the democratic policies, we've been able to get some of those support is also the investments for our communities. So that's the earlier question was why many Democrats support, why many Nepalese or South Asian support Democrat versus about 30% Republican is that because we care each other. We have a family values, right? We care about education, supporting education, healthcare, immigration. We don't want to believe that we want to take away children who are younger than 5 years old. So because of all this value, I think we've been making a really good progress here in Iowa. Hopefully we'll win. Beside that, we also have an obligation to call other states, and we've been happy calling. Texas, today, I joined the call. We met 2,000 calls in Texas today as a group, SAB and Desi Blue. So I've been very blessed to be part of SAB and Nepalese Council, and thank you for organizing the event tonight.
a group of older Bhutanese people went out to vote for the first time. That's really nice to hear, because you don't hear that often, that a group of people even at that age is like, nope, I'm gonna vote, I'm gonna make a difference. So really, voting doesn't have an age. You can vote anytime and make a difference. So that's really important. I wanted to know if Pradeep ji is on the line by any chance.
Pradeep ji had to go to the hospital.
Oh,
So
right,
he
right.
couldn't be
Sorry,
there.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
And Madala Sahib couldn't come. I talked to her. Somehow she's not in. I talked to her 2 times. I tried to get her in. Somehow she's not in. She's the one who's contesting for the delegate
Yes,
in
yes.
New
That
Hampshire.
was,
Yeah.
that was my next.
I spoke to her a number of times.
Okay, that's okay. So I'm going to give a broad question so we can kind of conclude slowly. What really do you want to see in the Biden administration when it comes to South Asian issues? Is there anything in particular that personally you want to see a change in, a difference in, something that you might want to be a part of, that you hope we can continue to fight for as a community? Does anyone want to answer that question? Really, it could be anything. I can start off with myself, actually, just to give you an idea of how I'm thinking about this. For me personally, it's healthcare. Biden-Harris campaign has a plan to build upon Obamacare. It's solid, it's sensible, and I like it. I'm someone with a pre-existing condition, so I want to make sure that my rights, my healthcare rights, are protected. I'm a wheelchair user. I would like this pandemic to be over so that I can go and counsel the public and help them out. Right now, I've been working from home from the past 4.5 months, so I hope to be back in the world and engage more, because I'm not used to the 4 walls of my room. So that's my personal change that I wish to see in the next 4 years. What are yours? Anyone would like to answer that question?
This is Suresh.
Beautiful.
If I can get a second here.
Yes.
I agree with you, Naina, and also one thing which we haven't heard that much, I think is very important for South Asians in general, which is nobody talks about Belt Road, which means that China is expanding their influence all over the world. Of course, China is a communist leadership. That's also it's issue for Nepal. That's also issue for India. That's issue for everybody in South Asian countries and around the world. And what will be really important to talk about Belt Road, how U.S. should be engaged in limiting that influence, because China is by default. China is becoming the leader without spending a penny because of the Donald Trump destroy the global relationship all over the world. So they have to go somewhere. They are going to China. So we need to stop that and see if we can involve SAV as a whole. How can we involve in a foreign policy? Sort of. So that will be my priority, because that nobody talks about it, but it's extremely important that we limit the Chinese influence, communist influence. Not, I love Chinese people, but I don't like the Chinese Communist Party. Oh, you're muted.
Want to see? I think Bimoji had his hand up, right?
Yes, I'd like to be brief, Nainaji. Definitely decency. Nepal caucus needs to be very strong, and I would like to see on the day one, in the first week, the TPS grant. The earthquake victims, a lot of Nepalese. They're and not only Nepalese. Whoever has the enjoy the that facilities to have that grant, it's in a limbo. He gonna if Trump wins, and this will go dead. So I'd like to see Biden and Harris administration take a step forward to resolve this TPS grant. Thank you.
Always forget about TPS because it's not personally affecting me, but it's affecting many Nepali people, and I think people think, Oh, the earthquake, that was a long time ago. It's not affecting anyone. Of course it is. It's economically affecting many Nepalese, which is why they came to this country. So yes, that is a very crucial thing. Is it? I don't know if it's in the. I believe it's in the courts right now, if I'm not mistaken. Ghanshyam ji, you also had your hand up. Would you please like to
Yes,
share?
just briefly, what do I expect from this new leadership? Basically, what we saw in the past few years is the leadership coming from Barack Obama to Donald Trump. And that's really a failure of leadership. When it came to multilateral leadership issues like WHO, for example, this guy gave up. Pandemic, this guy gave up. Climate change, this guy has no business with that. And on a lot of scientific issues, this guy is either incompetent or this guy is arrogant, or this guy has no idea about scientific discovery. So uh, I don't basically expect anything big from new administration, but this guy has experience, this guy is capable, and his team is very strong. So anything that goes from Trump to back to Biden would be a very big change for me. As such, I don't expect anything for him to do. Just going from Barack Obama to Donald Trump is really a mistake American people have made. And we have a chance to correct that.
One of the things that we learned today is I think we're all just tired and we want to get back to normalcy. We want to get back to a president that respects everyone and knows and believes in everyone and doesn't look at us any different, because after all, we're all American and that's what we're doing. Pravinji, Nehaji, would you like to give us any last comments, advice, support, or anything else we could be doing to be more productive in the last 10 days?
Sure, Naina. I'll start off and hand it over to Neha. I want to first thank Dr. Karki, yourself, Tarun, for all having us here tonight. And I think to bring home what you stated in your last question about what we would like to see, I think I would just like to see America be kind again. Folks, be kind to one another. I mean, I think everyone knows where the two political parties stand in terms of their policy differences, right? And I think that most people can speak to that about where we stand on things like climate change, about the judicial system, about healthcare, about social justice. But really, we've lost this ability to kind of talk to one another, and it's certainly exacerbated by this administration and this president. So having someone like Joe who comes back and says, in a perfect world where you almost don't even have to worry about politics on a day-to-day basis, right? Where there's whiplash from one news headline to another within the span of 30 minutes. And so the government can get to work what it does best, which is to serve for the welfare of the people, right? And so really focusing in on that, and as Joe likes to say, restoring the soul of our nation, I think it's what's imperative. And I think that for anybody listening on this call, every community that has come to these shores seeking a better life has started as a small community. And so while the Nepali Bhutani community is certainly taking its steps to become engaged, it's leaders like this on the call and that you are watching at home that can be the leaders that light the way for the future for those that come after you to get engaged in the political process. So I really want to thank all of you here today. I really want to impress upon you what everyone else has said about getting out the vote. But hopefully, once we have the result that we want on November 3rd, we can begin to restore this great nation. Thank you for having me.
And just to add to that, because I think Praveen just said it really well. I mean, I think that, as somebody who's a parent of a 1-year-old, I certainly don't want 1-year-olds and small children going to bed without their parents. As a lawyer, I'd like to see some sort of credibility in the judicial system again, in the legal system. As a woman, I'd like to be able to make decisions about myself, my children. those things are important. I certainly don't want, as an immigrant myself, I don't want fellow folks in South Asia being discriminated against just on the basis of their nationality. They should be able to pursue the American dream just like so many of us have, and make contributions to this country. And I know that the Biden-Harris administration, with everything that I'm talking about, has already rolled out plans with respect to what it is they would be doing, issues that directly affect our community and other minority communities. So, and also one other thing that we talked about real quick before was, the fact that Joe Biden, one, is empathetic. He has great relationships, but he has great relationships with world leaders. They call him Joe. For them, he's just, a family member. So the fact that we're fighting with Australia, we're fighting with our closest allies, I just don't understand. He will restore decency and, bring us back to our treaty partnerships or strategic partnerships, which are also key. So I'm really looking forward to just so much of just this country coming back as united as a country, and also on the global stage. So having said that, so much on the line. And again, going back to what you can do, it's phone banking, postcard writing, literature drops, voting, and making sure 10 of your friends and family vote, and then they bring 10 their friends and family. Really, I cannot emphasize, because there's so much on the line, and the most basic thing that's on the line, on November 3rd is decency and honor. So let's bring that home on November 3rd. Thank you so much for having me.
And being a really true representative for our community. And I would like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to moderate this conversation. I feel better. I don't know if everyone else is feeling better. It was almost like a group counseling session where we all got to hold each other and said, we're going to get back to normalcy. And that's what it felt like to me. So really, thank you so much. Dr. Karki, would you like to say a few words before we conclude?
Yeah.
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question to Dr. Karki. Yeah, can I ask a question, Dr. Karki?
Yeah, go on, please.
Yeah, okay, Dr. Karki, just my curiosity. You have been here this country for almost 5 decades, almost for 50 years here. You might be the oldest. You have been you might be the oldest person here, and you have been here longest time in America. So, in your personal experience, what do you remember in your earlier time in America about the response of government to minority, and in terms of size of the population of Nepali community, and now we have a big Nepali speaking community is getting bigger and bigger. And how do you feel the difference between your beginning time and this time?
To put it very briefly, with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, the minorities rights started evolving slowly, and gradually, sometimes slow, sometimes a bit fast, but it was never held back like the Trump did. It was never done like that one. There was some slowing down the movement, but this time it's not slowing down the movement, but it's the attempt to reverse it, attempt to scare people. It's quite different this time. Like before, if I stop at the red light, people will stare at me, but now people will say obscenities at me. So that's a change. So it's worse. But coming to that one, now another thing I would like to add is, not many people know that Joe has a Nepal connection. What is the Nepal connection is, during the democratic struggle of 2002, I was the one who used to go to the Congress to lobby, to advocate for Nepal's democracy. And Joe was the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee at that time. And so I used to go and meet, not him, but his chief of staff. I used to meet him. I used to meet him. I used to meet Pat Leahy. And another thing was different was the circumstances, the country were different. Although I'm a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, my congressmen were Republican. So when I used to come to the Congress, that time I used to live in Rochester. When I used to come here from Rochester, I used to meet my Republican congressman. Then he will take me, and then I'll talk to him saying, I'm coming here. He will take me to the right person to meet. So he was that one. He was number 3 person. And actually, we had such a good relationship that anything I want to talk to him, I'll tell him that this is the petition. This is the proposal we have to approve, then he will say, okay, write it then. Usually it is to me who should write it, and that is to go to the Congress and get approved. We have such a good working relationship between Democrat and Republican. Now it's changed, almost like it's an enemy line. The Republican, they're Democrat, they even to say, oh, you speak to him, you are a Democrat. How come you speak to him? It's the climate is such that. And that amazes me that me, a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, was taken around the one. Then when the Nepali Prime Minister in exile came, I took them to meet the senator and the congressman, not only the Democrat, even the Republican, and they took it around and they used to talk, they used to advocate for democracy. So from that one, Biden had that connection, being the chair of the Senate relation, he had a very important role. And sometimes, the thing changes. Sometimes you have such a cozy relationship that his staff of the Foreign Relations Committee was a young man married to a Nepali girl whom I knew when I first came here. She was only 5-year-old. So from that, all these connection, personal connection works. And that way I knew him, and he used to make me special schedule. And I had to tell them at one time also this time, if I knew some of the congressional interns working there, how easy it would have been to me and to go and meet these congressmen and senators. That time I didn't know anyone. So I had to pull a lot of strings. So that's the George connection that we need to, that he really did something for Nepal. What he did was he and Pat Leahy were responsible for restricting, for stopping the flow of arms from Nepal, from here to Nepali army, and that brought the Nepal government and the Maoists in talks that came out to, that's how the peace talk started, with the flow of arms stopped. Now, going to all these things, all of you told wonderful things. Two things that didn't come up was, one is that we look to US as a bastion of democracy, as a champion of democracy. So everywhere people who support democracy are looking to US for leadership. Now it's in the US itself, democracy is at peril. So from that perspective, what's happening is emboldening the dictators all around the world. There's no one to tell them, you cannot be like that one. The reason is the one who is to tell them is himself being more authoritarian. And that's a great setback, not only here, but the whole world for the democratic movement. That's a great setback. The other thing, what I would like this Biden government to do is, the world has changed. At one time, Europe was the center of not only civilization, everything, but economic power, the big economic power. Now look, who are the economic powers? Number 2, number 3, number 4 are Asians, China, Japan, India. So it's in interest of this country that we need to move our foreign policy and trade policy from being Eurocentric to Asia-centric. So from that perspective, we, the South Asians, are a very good breeze, not only for our own population and our home countries, but our countries, for the country US itself. Because who do you do the relation with? Who do you sell all the metal products to the countries who are very rich? Now, the number 2, 3, 4 are in South Asia. So our whole foreign policy has to be changed. And so for that one, we are the one who need to plead for that one, because all the people who are in the power most of the time are European, Eurocentric people. So people like us from South Asia have to go and tell them that it's time now, it's in the interest of this country, that our policy has to start moving in the right direction. Otherwise, you cannot trade with the poor countries. You have to trade with only rich countries. That's how you make your prosperity. So all these things changes. You can do with Joe, because knowing that he's very open. He listens to everyone. From that perspective, very good. And coming to the last point is COVID-19. I'm a COVID expert. As Devang knows that I write on COVID every day. I spend 4 hours on COVID, reading and writing one. And sometimes I give advice what to do, what not to do. I came very hard on Devang one time that he had his friends for dinner a lot of time. The reason is you can get disease, COVID, from people you don't know. You get COVID infection from the people you know, from your family member, because that's what you interact with. And so that's why sometimes it looks like cruel, but you have to do that one, because you are not only saving yourself, you are saving your friends and one. The last thing is, I was telling that this is the time of Dasera, Praveen. Your Dasera card, if you have brought them, you can bring that one, because tomorrow is the 10th day, Dasera. That's the day we celebrate the victory of good over evil, victory of Ram over Ravan. That is celebrated as the victory of good, victory of evil, and symbolically that's very fitting at this time. The reason is it's the victory of Biden over Trump will be exactly very symbolic of the Dasera from that perspective. And then coming to COVID again, we lost 220,000 people. And if Trump had taken the right one, we would have lost at most 50,000. I used to call Devang a lot of times saying, Devang, I'm worried. Can you do this one? This man is going to get a fake vaccine. This man is going to do that one. Can you pull your strings? I would tell that one. And I pulled some of my strings also. It's the scientists I knew. The reason is I was very afraid that he would get a vaccine which is not approved and say this is a vaccine and get more people dead. And so from that perspective, 220 families have lost people. And money you can get back. Anything lost, you can get back. People you cannot get back. And every family who has lost that people, I tell them the blood of that person is in the hands of Trump. He's the one responsible for the death of all these people. It's because of the incompetence of him, it's the carelessness of him, it's the cruelty of him that all these people died. And then lastly, how Trump is going with such a manic energy. The reason is, one thing I would like Biden to do is spend more money in mental health services. And the first one to get that one should be Trump, because he needs that one, because he had a personal disorder. And if you look at that one, he has every quality of that one, and that's what he is. He doesn't belong to the White House. He belongs to mental Assam. Thank you very much. Tarunji, you want to add something?
I would like to thank everybody.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't have to say anything, just thank Naina. I would like to thank Naina because I proposed her name, because when we design the program, who will be the host. And I think Naina Rana, she can be the host, and I proposed her name, our lifetime wheelchair girl, young girl and educated girl. She can do it, and she did it. And they will be our leader, and that's what we want to do. And thank you, Naina, and thanks everybody, all leaders.
She's a rising star of our group. Naina, we are keeping an eye on you.
Dere dhanyavad to everyone. I truly appreciate the support. Truly, it means a lot.
Let's conclude.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Again,
much.
thank you. Thank you, Neha. I have eye on you also. My daughter is an attorney also. And I know how having a daughter attorney is not easy. Every time I argue, I lose the argument. So I know how it is. But I think you'll go very far. Don't confine yourself. And then Praveen, thank you very much for coming. I think you are making a good executive. I call Neha as a big, she'll make a big chief of staff. Any president would love to have a chief of staff like her, because you need someone like that one who can whip the people to shape at the same time, who never loses sight of the things to be done. I'm very impressed by how she condenses everything in an hour, and she speaks like the machine gun firing bullets. She goes like that, which is very good. I'm saying the positive sense. And thank you very much for everyone coming. Thank you very much for everyone coming. I really appreciate very much. And thank you, Devang. Devang is the one who pushed me in this direction, and I always am very happy to him. I'm very happy that I'm trying to keep him alive also. Devang, thank you very much. And again, we'll see you maybe next
week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Srijan Tamrakar, who is doing this technical work.
Srijan deserves a big plot. Thank you.
Yeah, he's the man behind who does all the technology.
Thank
you.